Vice President JD Vance had a big year in 2025, and he's now expected to look toward next year's midterms before eventually launching a presidential run in 2028. A recent Axios article took a deep dive into Vance's potential plans for the next few years, speaking with allies of the VP and other sources familiar with his thinking.
Although there's still a long way to go before the next election, Vance is currently considered to be the frontrunner to win the Republican nomination. But it will likely take some support from President Trump for Vance to win it, according to Axios. Vance's biggest priority is to show he's loyal to Trump above all else. Trump is the dominant figure in the Republican Party, and that won't change before 2028 kicks off. So for Vance to be the GOP nominee, he'll need Trump's strong backing. Republicans expect Vance to continue to vocally support Trump's policies, even ones that aren't always popular with some parts of the GOP.
The article also suggests one of Vance's biggest priorities is to stay away from the infighting that has plagued much of the Republican Party for several months. Instead, he'll work to unite people against the Democrats. Axios says Vance has no intention of taking sides in the civil war among the celebrity MAGA podcasters who are fighting bitterly and publicly over anti-Semitism and America's role abroad. The feuds were a backdrop for Vance's appearance earlier this month at Turning Point USA's America Fest, where he condemned endless self-defeating purity tests and said he didn't bring a list of conservatives to denounce or to deplatform.
Now, Vance has been a very popular figure among conservatives since becoming the vice president a year ago, but some questioned whether this is a feasible strategy for him going forward. Journalist Glenn Greenwald writes, quote, "I understand JD Vance's desire to stay above the intra-MAGA argument over Israel. That desire makes sense, but can't work. The pro-Israel lobby and their donors that still dominate the GOP won't allow that. They demand clear, unflinching proclamations of loyalty to Israel."
And writer Zed Jelani says, "I think JD is just too online. If you spend too much time on the internet, you think Groypers and Kahanis are like 50% of the GOP, whereas in real life, most Americans don't care about Israel and aren't obsessed with immigrants." Yeah, I agree with Jelani. I love Glenn Greenwald, but I don't think, I mean, you can't make any of these people happy. The pro-Israel side, the like stridently pro-Israel side, all we care about is Israel, only our issue. Yes, you can never make them happy enough with any level of, well, I'm not comfortable with everything Israel's doing, but I don't know. You have to fully denounce it. You have to go make it your entire personality. On the one side, and both ways is what I'm saying. If you're anti-Israel, you have to make it your whole personality. If you're pro-Israel, you got to make it your own personality. Most people don't care that much. It's a foreign country, are uncomfortable with what Israel's government has done, don't really think we should support it. They don't want it. They don't need it denounced. They don't need it defended. It's not a main issue. So Vance's strategy of just not particularly addressing that seems absolutely correct and fine by me. Yeah, I don't think he should not. Obviously, if he wants to be the figure, why take a side in the Tucker-Meghan war? Tucker-Meghan warring with Ben Shapiro. I don't think it helps him to take a side there, sure. I would agree with that.
I mean, if he's going to be in conversation in the way that people have criticized Kamala of not being in conversation, like lax environments, like podcasts, if he's going to spend the next 3 years either avoiding or being part of that, this will come up. This is those online spaces that we're discussing. Like, this is a constant conversation about what's the next steps we're talking about today on the news outside, all over the Hill and on News Nation about what's the next steps with Israel and Hamas. Is Benjamin Netanyahu going to continue to move forward and say that this war is not done and there's still steps to take there? So I think that this is not going to be an ending conversation where a vice president can't have a perspective on that. And then you have a whole other layer of what's happening. What we saw at the Turning Point's America Fest event is that there's a lot of infighting within the party that he wants to stay above. And Israel is only one part about what people are infighting about. I mean, there's a lot about what people are fighting about. People are saying that Nick Fuentes and being platformed and some of the things he stands for, and JD Vance is directly in that conversation because Fuentes is coming at his wife. And he responded. And him.
Most recently said that he wouldn't vote for JD Vance because JD Vance isn't good looking enough.
Okay, well, that's whatever.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you're right. He's very
coming at him, but he also is directly being racist and coming at his wife, and to which I reportedly, in an unheard interview, JD Vance responded to him directly and said, anybody can eat blank. You can go look it up.
Right.
He
No,
responded to him. So he is in it. Like someone else is going to ask him about what he thinks about his wife and a rising star. Two podcasters in the Republican space, Nick Fuentes. He has to get in the fray.
Right.
You can't avoid it for 3 years.
Sure you can. His bet is that Nick Fuentes, for this, all the attention he's gotten for the last couple of weeks, is not going to be a serious power broker within the GOP and is just an online influence and no real person has heard of him. That's what his bet is. And it might be right. I don't know. Okay,
well, let's say he's able to skip that up for 3 years and not get into the mix. He also says that he expects to, or this Axios article reports that he expects to support Trump. And that's part of the agreement if he wants to get the nomination for 2028, that he has to support him and look like a loyal vice president. Yeah. Well, you remember, can I jog your memory real quick? All of the criticisms of Kamala for being so loyal to Biden and then having no answers about why her specific policies didn't differentiate so dramatically while on the campaign trail from Biden's. And she was trying to toe the line of being loyal, but also saying, yes, some of these things were a failure. And she neglected to do that. And now if the economy keeps going the way that it is, and people keep complaining about things like tariffs the way that they do, and if the country still feels uncomfortable with the immigration policies and the extent of them, the way that they do, not immigration as a whole, but the extent of them, the way that they do, JD Vance has to answer to why he didn't say anything for 4 years. And so if he's going to be blindly loyal to the president and people are looking for change in 4 years, he's going to have a big problem on his hands, the same problem that Kamala had. And he has to answer to that.
I think the dynamic is a little different. The biggest barrier Vance could have is the barrier that Mike Pence faced, which is that he lost the support of Trump. Mike Pence lost it at the very end, in the literal last inning of the game, did something that Trump considered betrayal, and he lost Trump's support, and now he has no future in the GOP. So that is Vance's biggest risk. So he has to back Trump in every way. The difference between Biden and Kamala, in my view, is that Biden was unpopular at that stage within the Democratic Party itself, with the Democratic voters. Trump might be unpopular with the country at large. He's not unpopular among conservatives. So I don't know that Vance needs to separate from Trump. Also, the way you say that, but what about the economy? We still have all these problems. Are you familiar with the good czar, bad boyars theory?
No, tell me all about it.
So that's where you say, in Russia, they love the czar back in, feudal time. We love the czar. The good things that happen is the czar doing good things, but if bad things are happening, it's the regional warlords and bureaucrats and officials who are causing all the problems. So that's what Vance will say. Oh, well, the economy's not good. Well, we have all this deep state bureaucrats who are not implementing our agenda. We have too many Trump-resistant Republicans who are basically Democrats who are fighting his agenda. We have this, we have that. We have democratic malfeasance. It's not Trump. Trump didn't do anything wrong. That's what he's going to say.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. I think he's going to have an uphill battle to try to avoid those two things in particular that are going to be huge. I mean, a lot of our conversation is how, and even look at Turning Points and the bigness of that organization, right? This is something like a grounds roots and online activated community of millions of people that has a voice so loud that people are now actually saying Charlie Kirk should be memorialized in the halls of DC. Like, this is not like, you can't ignore online communities. So when JD Vance says he's going to spend the next three years ignoring online chatter within his own party, well, then you're ignoring the party. If your argument is that you have to listen to the younger people and and if they went after young men, well, what about all the young men that watch all these podcasts that want some of these same complaints or thoughts that the podcasters are having answered or responded to? Well, JD Vance is ignoring that whole base, plus now only supporting President Trump. These people are fighting about things that President Trump is or is not doing, and you just ate President Trump, JD Vance. So you're going to have to answer to all these things.
That's true, and he will run into that problem. Look, some amount in the Turning Point stuff, which we didn't really get a chance to talk to, some amount of debate internally, I think is healthy. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. In fact, I don't think it's wrong for Turning Point to invite and have speak people who are, all within the conservative tent, but are disagreeing on certain things and are fighting about it. Charlie Kirk himself did, in my view, a good job of allowing for that debate. He, even on foreign policy in Israel, he moderated a debate between Josh Hammer and Dave Smith that was good, and it was heated, and it did get a little personal. but it's personal in a different way than this debate between Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson is getting, and Steve Bannon is getting, I think, relentlessly personal and deeply focused on, again, just one issue to the detriment of all the others. And it's maybe, I think it's getting to a place where it's not really it's a shouting match rather than a debate, or it itself has taken on the characteristics of television or reality television, where it's like it's reality TV personalities who just hate each other, sniping at each other, instead of really arguing about the issue. So maybe it's getting to a bad place now. I'm not sure that Turning Point should be handling it differently. I'm not sure they should start saying, well, we're not going to invite so-and-so, or we're not going to invite so-and-so. It's a tough thing. But some amount of debate is good. It doesn't have to be all rah-rah,
they wanted
blah,
to
blah,
have
blah.
these different speakers.
Yeah.
They wanted to, this is what Charlie Kirk would do it. But Erica Kirk, she opened up the event and said, ever since her husband was killed, she's noticed that there's been too much fighting and the party really needs to come together. So she's the leader of the organization now, and then other organizers of the organization are saying we allow different people to disagree and say their piece.
She
but
can't come together with
disarray.
people who say that her husband was murdered by a shadowy international cabal with Turning Point and Erica's knowledge or perhaps participation.
Well, she came together with Candace Owens, and so they had a great conversation, right?
Told her to stop, which I predicted would not work and has not worked, because she's not going to stop because she's a lunatic.
We're not going down this Candace Owens rabbit hole.
We have a lot more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.